Are we gonna get a Nintendo Switch Pro? How much do you think it's gonna cost? When do you think it's gonna be released? Are there gonna be exclusive games? What about 4K? What about the frame rate? Is the battery life gonna be better? Is the screen gonna be bigger? Are we able to use our Joy-Cons? What about Pro Controllers? I don't know, so many questions! I don't even know where to start. Good morning, you glorious gamers! Garbs here, and yeah, today we're gonna talk about the Switch Pro. If there is a Switch Pro. And with all the new reports coming out, we're all pretty sure that it's coming. However, there are still a ton of questions that we have to answer. Before we start our deep dive into the Switch Pro, don't forget to super smash that like button and hit subscribe for more gaming content. So let's start off with the easiest question first. Is there gonna be a Switch Pro? I'm pretty sure it's safe to say there absolutely has to be one. The fire's starting to get really hot because of the latest Bloomberg article that is talking about the Switch revision. Now when they say revision, they do go into some detail, which is pretty much hinting towards the Switch Pro. Now you might say that Bloomberg is only one source. However, don't forget that Nintendo said the Switch is gonna have a family of systems. Now what do you think when Nintendo says a family of systems? Now when I hear that, I think we have the baby system, which is the Switch Lite, the Mama Bear, which is the Nintendo Switch, and Big Daddy Papa Bear being the Switch Pro. Now Nintendo has already stated that this is going to be the middle of the Switch's life cycle. So how are you going to keep people engaged buying more systems? By releasing the Switch Pro. Now this leads perfectly into the next question, which I see most often online. How much is this going to cost? Now using my analogy of the three bears, the baby bear, or the Switch Lite, is costing around $200. From there you move on to the Mama Bear, which is the OG Switch, which should bring the price down to $300. So that leaves us with the Papa Bear, or the Switch Pro, priced at around $400. Now in terms of pricing strategy, that is perfect for Nintendo for a multitude of reasons. You have your family of systems separated by about $100 per unit, and the price point is still going to be cheaper than the high-end PlayStation and Xbox. Now these numbers are not going to be exact, but it makes the most sense for Nintendo to price their products this way. So now we know there is going to be a Switch Pro, and it's probably going to be priced around the $400 range. But what is that actually going to give us in a system? Now according to Bloomberg and other sources, the screen on the Switch is going to be a 720p OLED screen, which is going to be larger. And yeah, it's not 1080, however on a screen that small, it's going to be just fine. Now dock mode, that's where it's going to make the most difference, and I'm pretty sure that Nvidia is going to help boost these games' graphics up to 4K. And really, even if they don't go 4K, I don't think it's the end of the world for the Switch because of Nintendo's general art aesthetic. Now I say that because Nintendo's IPs in general are quite cartoony, and you're not going to notice the biggest difference between 1080p and 4K. And yes, I know third-party games will suffer, however most people buy the Switch because of Nintendo's products. Now before you get mad at me in the comments, my gut is telling me that yes, they are going to push for up-res 4K resolution, because then we're going to get better ports from third-party developers, and we have the potential of playing Breath of the Wild 2 in 4K. Now before we move on to Breath of the Wild 2 and other games, I'm also hoping that with this new system, they really work on the frame rate issues. Now we all know the Switch's biggest weakness is its power. As an example, in Breath of the Wild, if there was a ton of stuff going on, you would have massive frame rate drops. And a smaller example, even Link's Awakening is such a small game in comparison, but there were tons of drops in that game alone. So come on Nintendo, 4K with a stable 60 FPS, and we'll all be really happy. Alright, let's talk some games. Now starting with some reports about what's going to happen with third-party titles. Now because the Switch Pro is going to be that much more powerful, some reports are saying that it's in between a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 4 Pro. Some third-party games will have to be exclusive to the Pro model. Now this is probably going to annoy a lot of people who only have a regular Switch or a Switch Lite, but it kind of makes sense. Considering how big these games are getting and how detailed, you're going to need more power and more memory space just to play some of these ports. These games are getting so big that if we want to continue to get great titles on the Switch, they're going to have to use the power of the Switch Pro. Now when it comes to Nintendo's own titles, I don't think we're going to see the same thing. Even though Nintendo is going to want to push their new daddy console with a release title like Breath of the Wild 2, those titles will absolutely have to be played on the Switch and the Switch Lite. When it comes to their marketing, they'll probably take an Xbox Series X approach, saying something like, this game will play the best on the new Switch Pro. And there's no question that it absolutely will play better on the Pro. However, they're not going to shun away all their other clients who won't upgrade the system. Now what goes along great with a brand new system? Probably a brand new shiny title. Now the rumors of Mario Kart 9 are starting to get in the air, however we all know that it's most likely going to be Breath of the Wild 2. And the reasons for my theory is quite simple. We know it's coming and been teased in development, it's the most anticipated sequel of gaming right now. Oh yeah, and it's Zelda's 35th anniversary. So if I'm gonna make a bet, I'm saying Breath of the Wild 2 launches at the same time as the Switch Pro. Now there are a plethora of questions that we could ask and could attempt to answer. However, one stands out above them all. When are we getting this bitch? And the answer that makes the most sense is holiday season 2021. The hype for the PS5 and Xbox Series S is gonna calm down by that point, so that gives Nintendo a better opportunity to swipe the holiday season. That, along with a bomber title like Breath of the Wild 2, and Nintendo's gonna have themselves a great holiday. And if they really wanted people to lust over the system, system, they launch it with Breath of the Wild 2, and put a small teaser out for Mario Kart 9 coming out later in 2022. Now there are so many questions still out there in the ether, however, if I try to answer all of them and gave my opinions, this video would be 3,428 hours long. So I think it's about time to wrap it up. However, I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you agree with me, disagree with me? What do you think's going on behind closed doors at Nintendo? I'm Garbs, and the one thing I know for sure is we're all on this ride together, and it's going to be exciting. So stay happy, stay healthy, and I'll see you online.